Alright, y'all, so what I have here is it's a trying to duplicate, not duplicate exactly, but a Rembrandt painting called Old Man Warrior Costume. And the hair, the stubble looks good, everything's proportionately right. There's going to be some more color in the feather. This is going to get shinier. Like this is all proportionally right. So we want the armor to really look like it is metal, wrought iron. So, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and once this dries, is scratch through it. And that's going to give the effect of like stringy, wispy kind of hair. Put like little whiskers in here. But my man is too angry. Like I walked in here, I went and made myself some scrambled eggs. That's what I had. That's what I had in my heart, scrambled eggs. And I walked back in here, and he is cutting these eyes. And I said, "Whoa, dude, what is wrong? Like, why? Talk to me." And I just get this. I get the silent treatment. So I said, "I'll fix you. I will fix you. I'm gonna make these eyes a little bit more puppy dog, like make him just a little bit, take the edge off. Like when you go to your favorite bar and you get in there and you're like, oh my God, I don't know any of these people. I know, I'll have a shot of tequila. And then all of a sudden, everybody. Like everybody's a friend, and you love them. You tell them, I love you. Like, oh my God. And like, I mean, everybody except the bouncer. The bouncer, he's old. Like, I don't know you, but most of the people sitting at the bar, they love you back. And the closer it gets to closing time, you're still there. Like, if you're still there at closing time, then you are Cousin Eddie. Like you don't get I've always heard this expression, look a gift horse in the mouth. So when a horse gets old, their gum lines start receding, like their teeth get bad. So if somebody gave you a horse and you opened its mouth to check its teeth, that is an insult to the person gifting you the horse. That's what that means. And when I found that out, life changed. Oh my God. Which nobody's never given me a horse, but I have been given a speeding ticket. I've been I don't want to say I've been given a high school diploma, because I kind of earned it. Like they didn't really give it to me. I had to. But so the pupil, the iris is very dark on this particular subject. So the pupil and the iris you don't have to come in here and do elaborate, crazy markings in here. Like you don't need that. Poor man got enough wrinkles as it is. He's just let him have some dignity. But by opening this up, making this a little more round, you give it a little bit more of a puppy dog feel. You take off some of that real squinty cutting eyes, and then what we're going to do is come in. But by doing this, you see this eyelid here, it's going to have to conform to the roundness of that. So we're going to have to reshape this eyelid, and I'll do that off camera. But the whites of the eyes are not solid white. Like, don't go in there and just start painting white. They're more of like a milky kind of, like a milky color. So, but whenever I cut this eyelid up, and I'm going to bring, I don't know if you can see it in this, but the eyelid here, and I'm going to bring it down to where this is more rounded, like a sad puppy dog, and once you do that, all of a sudden you take the you take the meanness out of the eyes, which is very important because this seems to be where everybody goes wrong. That distance is that distance. So like when you draw eyes, what you got from here to here should be from here to here, and that gets you started out, the right way. Top of the skull, bottom of the chin, the eyes are like midway, and then the bottom of the nose is midway of that, and then about 1/3 down is the middle of the lips. And the chin, some people have the indentation, some people don't, but like this can, whatever your subject has, you should be able to judge it by then. But, and ears are funny, like they're a lot bigger than we think. Bottom of the nose, come over here to the ears. We're up here in the eyebrows talking about the top of the ears, and like, so proportionally everything is good. I'm going to come in and darken the edges like a vignette, so that way he really will pop out. This will be like darker, kind of melting into what you got here, and then we're going to work on the headband, which is kind of a whole different thing in itself. But I'm doing this Rembrandt style, meaning like layers. We're doing layer on, letting it dry, layer, let it dry, layer. So you can do portraits a la prima, like you can do it in one setting, but to emulate, that's a good word, not like that, emulate. To emulate a Rembrandt, he worked in layers, so we're going to work in layers. Once this sets up, we're going to come in here and add a little bit more scruff in here, a little bit more in here. They didn't have Gillette razors. They didn't have, what do they call, chic razors. They didn't have that. They just had a sharpened knife. I mean, this here is his undershirt, keeping this fabric. So he's got his undershirt, this fabric, and then the armor. Put the seam in the fabric here. So this is like a greenish feltish kind of thing. So this is dark. The light source is coming, as you can tell, from up here. So naturally the reflection is going to need to be, this all just is lighter by physics. I mean, it's the light's coming here, it hits his grumpy old face, and then gets darker back off in here, almost to where the shadow here you don't even see. And once this dries, we'll come in here and just hit it with some really dark. But you get a portrait to this stage, you can start introducing colors, just random, not so much in the face, but like, in the armor, in the cloth, you can start introducing all kind of different colors, especially in that feather. Like, we don't want the feather to stand out, but it is an opportunity for us to throw in some green, and not like Nickelodeon green, but like a peacock kind of green. Just throw in your colors, get that out of your system, work on your highlights on the bolts here, but slowly. Do not try to do it in one set, and you don't want hard paint lines until the very end. Meaning, like, you don't want to take this palette knife here and start doing this number here, because now you're going to have a hard paint line, and if you have to change something, you have this ridge in the paint that's never going to go away. So if this were a younger guy, we would get rid of some of these under eye bags, get rid of the crow's feet, make the forehead a little less pissed off, clean him up. I can't say no white hair, because white hair is a thing. Maybe this guy here was like one of the beginning, like a founding member of Revlon or Hair for Men. My dad he bought this. He don't have Facebook, so I can say this, but he bought this can of aerosol stuff one time, and it was to cover, like it was like pretty much black spray paint. And he spray painted his bald spot and then comb his hair over. And it wasn't until I was older that I was like, hey, he ain't fooling nobody. Like when the wind blows, we knows, you know, and that's words to live by. Wind blows, we knows. But remember, not everybody has beautiful, captivating eyes. Every portrait you do, don't focus, just get the proportion right. You know, like Asian people, this might be a centimeter bigger. You know, like I've seen some people that, you know, like Greek people have more sunken in eyes. You know, some cultures there will be more pronounced. Like you know, just whatever your subject is. There's one thing of painting what you see, and then there's also the scientific painting, like the skull, like all of those measurements that I gave you. Top of the skull. Remember this: top of the skull to the chin. Eyes are midway, and then midway of that is the lips. You know, you come up here. Or no, midway of that is going to be the bottom of the nose. Then about a third, or maybe a little less than a third down, you know, start working on the lips. And if they're showing teeth, don't outline the teeth, because then it's going to look like, you know, it's going to look bad. But this particular guy here is, this is a candlelit portrait. So candlelight coming in here, this is way dark. This side is going to be darker than this side will, but I will still darken out. This side of the feather gets a little bit more brighter color than this. Maybe like I could highlight the tips there. You know, highlight, just boop, 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 and then leave it alone. Work on the headband. That's going to be gold and silver, and so that'll need to be shiny. But, and I don't know if you can see this little bit of, like, this is a canvas, has a texture, you know, it has a texture to it. So for you to pull it very even brush stroke, it's not, so don't start doing this. You know, it's not a crayon. You got to go back and get more paint on your thingy bob and come in here and do whatever it is then you got to do. And by doing that, by working in these small layers, you can sneak up on where you're trying to get. You know, some painters they know exactly what they're doing. Skin tones are different. Like black skin tones, it's not black, it's not brown, it's not, you know, they're so different. Caucasian skin tones, like, they're not white, they're not brown, unless they, you know, are roofers in the summertime in the South. But like this, you got to think like a Colombian, they have an olive skin tone. You know, like a Hawaiian has a more of a browner, more of like this color over in here would be over here, so that would need to be darker. But it don't matter what the skin tone is, when the light hits it, wherever the light's coming from will always have to be brighter. I made this a little more pronounced just to make it look a little more rugged. I made it look like he had his nose broke a time or two, probably from being grumpy. You know what I mean? Look at him. But, you know, you want to highlight this cheekbone. That cheekbone's catching a little bit of light. This brow line, but this over here, this ear, you know, this side is way darker. Even the armor is darker. But there are parts of it that will catch the light. You know, his shirt here is a little sweat stain. You know, I mean, this is the 1600s. So, you know, and don't be, if you work in these light layers and don't leave hard paint lines, if you mess something up, you can come back the next day and fix it. You know, I mean, so don't get discouraged on that. And also too, I'll point out, when doing the face, like before I started working on the facial hair, you know, I mean, it was a totally different look. I mean, he looked modern. But now this type of look here, you know, just set this guy back hundreds of years. So, you know, we're going to come in here, and don't be scared, and don't make your own green. Take a little bit of blue and like a Naples yellow or a cadmium yellow and make your own greens. So I have green in here, up here, up here. You know, the eyes are a dark green. I mean, almost, you know, black bleeding into the dark green. So that's a good alternative to doing like shadows and stuff. I mean, because this if you done a black shadow all through here, it's going to look like he's wearing like one of them stockings on his head under his hat. Like, you have to blend it in. So like I said, I'm gonna open these eyes up, make them a little less intimidating. I ain't scared of it. You know what I mean? I don't sweat this guy. I mean, I'm like Rocky, he's like Drago. You know, I don't take no crap. You know, but and of course, if he showed up on the doorstep, I'm not letting him in. I mean, I don't know him, but that like I said, in here, this is dark, but not as dark as that. So you know, this needs to be not black. Dude, don't try to refrain from putting black on the canvas. You know, try to just get it, I mean, a dab of white in the black, and do this in here. But now when you do these pupils, the darkest you can get them is the best. But do not make a circle. You know, let it die off into whatever. But this you know, we're gonna maybe add some more crow's feet here because he's old. I mean, he's not. This chicken here wasn't born in the spring. You know, he's been around. And like I said, Rembrandt's painting was called Old Man Warrior Costume. Like, even Rembrandt said, hey, this dude's old. And so, but once we're done, especially this, the background is so important, because that is what draws the viewer's eye to him. Without the background, if this was just a white canvas, it would look literally like you photoshopped a picture of this old codger on here, and we don't want that. We want it to look like he was sitting for a painting for several hours, and he's mad. You know, he's hungry. He got a coupon for a Hardee's biscuit, but Hardee's breakfast is about to close down. He can't go get it. So, I mean, my heart goes out to him. But once you get proportions correct, you know, get the proportions correct, then you can start. And remember, this is not color in the lines, and this is not paint as you go. You need to stop and think about, because to put it like, what I thought about doing was bringing this hat out here and doing that, but you know, I chose not to, because for one, the subject that I'm studying don't have that. But to me, it would make more sense, because it comes out so far here, that I would bubble this out, let that hat band kind of pinch in there, put some creases here like the hat band's pulling it tight. But the subject that I'm painting don't have that. And I'm trying to paint what I see, and I'm trying to paint in the style of the way that he painted for this particular portrait. But so I read a quote the other day that said a man's reach should extend his grasp. So I figure if I'm going to try to copy a portrait from a famous painter, I want it to be from one of the best painters. Born in 1609, he was like 64 when he died. And Rembrandt, he painted over 40 self-portraits of himself. This is not him, but 40 portraits, 2,000 sketches, 300 to 500 famous notable paintings. I mean, this guy was top notch. And if you're going to try to copy somebody, make it be good. Don't try to copy Rhonda from the Dollar General. You want to make sure. And like I said, when you have a certain color that you've mixed up that you really like, go in there and just place it in places. And if you don't like it, but that's why I say do it softly with no paint lines, and you can come back the next day and like paint over it, because you have not left hard paint lines. So I'm going to open this up, open these eyelids up, make him a little more puppy dog, darken the top of this ear, and then work on this headband. And hopefully the next video, this guy here will look like we don't want him to look like he's popping out of the picture, but we do want him to stand out from the background. That's why we do the vignette. And that's a fancy word. I don't know how to spell it. I think there's a G in it, but so, and anything with a G in it is cool. So always remember that. And as this white dries, like this right here is going to end up being almost pure titanium white, this area. Then we dye off, because that bolt head is blocking the light from hitting back here. But the bolt heads sit proud of the collar, so they do catch a little light. And we're going to bring this around, so the color of this will be a lot more pronounced than the color of the collar, the chest plate here. And then this break, this is where the two pieces of metal connect, hence that bolt. So this sticks up higher than that, so that's why we're doing this. And these are just the beginning layers, and then we'll work on this sleeve. And hopefully he'll start coming alive. Not too alive to where I have nightmares, but I'm just using this, to do this with. I'm not coming in here and doing any impasto kind of painting. But I don't know, like sometimes I'll just come in here and I'll just dab at it. Just dab at it a little bit, and all of a sudden, like I said, don't worry about the philtrum here, like the little divot in people's lips, because he has facial hair, so we don't have to worry about that. But it's good to know the anatomy of how a face works. And remember, every face is going to be different. Unless you date a couple of identical twin sisters and they want to play jokes on you, which is fine. But we're coming up on I don't even know what today is, the middle of August, which is our hot month here. I mean in the shade is 90 degrees, so like I said, we'll open these up, not too big to where it looks like gigantic marbles in his skull. But remember, whatever you do here, you have to reflect that in the eyelid, or else it just don't make sense. And so that's what's happening here. If you have any questions, message me. and we're going to work on him tonight and hopefully be back tomorrow.